Struggling with turning up on time or time blindness? Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. A TikToker put up a video or vlog or whatever they call them on TikToks, a tick or a talk, complaining about the criticism she faced when during an interview she asked what accommodations they would make for those who have trouble arriving on time or perhaps have time blindness. Now, we've encountered this in our own business when we've employed people. We've employed people from all over the world. And there's cultural differences with being prompt, being on time, and being early. That's real. That exists. Now, I would argue you'd want to be at least a little bit early for a meeting. Not too early so you're too weird, but make sure you've got enough time to comfortably arrive somewhere. And the same goes for work. Other cultures, I know we had one gentleman who was an islander, and they've got a different sense of time. They've got island time. So where you've got Prussian punctuality, where your artillery needs to be on the hill at a certain time, island time, it can be a little bit rubbery. And we brought this guy in to work for us on some projects to help out. And I remember telling him, mate, we don't do island time here in Australia. You got to be on time. And he looked at me a bit shocked that I actually knew what I was talking about because I went to Vanuatu for a holiday, so I'd experienced it. And he said, okay, yes, I understand. And of course, you know what happened the day of his first day working for us? He rocked up like 40 minutes late. Apparently he caught the wrong bus. And he worked well, he was embarrassed and never turned up again. And I saw him years later at an architectural event going, oh, you're finally going to turn up for work again, mate, eh? And he looked very sheepish. So there you go. But I don't think that's what we're seeing here, everyone. I do not think that's what we're seeing here. So let's bring up this video first, and I'll turn on the audio. And let me just overlay it, and we'll listen to this, guys.
So I just got yelled at for asking a very reasonable question. So I'm applying to go somewhere, and I just wanted to know, are there accommodations for people who struggle with time blindness and being on time, you know? And then the person I was with interrupted and acted like I was asking something else, and then when we were done, they actually started yelling at me and saying that accommodations for time blindness doesn't exist, and if you struggle with being on time, you'll never be able to get a job.
Now, this person they were with, which isn't made clear, at least in this portion of the TikTok, I haven't watched the whole thing, it's her mother. It's her mother. So she was contacting, we'll have a look at an article that discusses it. She was contacting an organization, I think like a TAFE or something like that. And her mother was on the phone next to her during this interview. And her mother went off with her. Could you imagine if your kid, if they're ringing up to apply to something, ask such a stupid question? I would respond exactly the same as the parent. 100% correct. Of course, you'd yell at them for that. It's the stupidest thing in the world. Now, there are some people who have ADHD, and one facet of that is an inability to track time, and there's strategies that the individual needs to learn to cope with that. But you can't expect workplaces to cater for that, because if you need to turn up on time to do your shift, you need to turn up on time to do your shift. That's the whole point of what you're doing. So she didn't mention that it was her mother yelling at her for being a little stupid, eh? A little entitled.
You know, provided you're trying your absolute best to be there. And then they're like, your stupid generation wants to destroy the workplace.
Yeah, so that's either a Gen X, millennial, maybe boomers be the grandparents now. So it's probably a Gen X mum. What do you reckon? Going off on her daughter for asking. How embarrassing would it be for your kid to ask that question? Just turn up on time, you find a way to deal with it. Oh, I'm not looking forward to teenage years, lads. I'm not looking forward to it at all.
And yeah, I think that a culture where workers are just cut off because they struggle with being on time, when there's other solutions that we can look to, I think that just anybody who thinks it's okay to just treat people like that, yeah, that culture needs to be dismantled.
Honestly, she's a young girl. She's just pissed off at her parents for getting yelled at when she, frankly, embarrassed her parents, embarrassed her mother. That's what's happening here. And she'll learn and grow up. I mean, we've all done stupid things. I mean, hey, look at all the Australians that voted Greens, eh? Or, or people who think the government's actually going to reduce power prices. So there you go. I mean, we grow out of these things.
And then I asked that person, how can you feel good about yourself upholding this kind of system? And then to think I'm entitled. No, if people think it's okay to treat others like this, that's entitlement. So
that's the video that's doing the rant. And she doesn't mention it's her mother laying into her about this. Because that kind of changes the perspective entirely, doesn't it? My father, if I had have asked that question, or my mother. No. It's funny, actually. Once our eldest daughter went to Ormy's house and had to do a bit of homeschooling there, and my mother doesn't put up with any shit when it comes to complaining about doing your work. I think it's the Austrian coming through there. And my daughter goes, I thought you were nice. And she was going, no, work. You must get your work done. Yeah, it wasn't fun. Maybe it made Dad not seem so bad. Anyway, let's keep going. So, young woman brutally mocked over time blindness question during interview. So, a young woman has caused a major stir across social media after claiming she was branded entitled for asking a very reasonable question in an interview. Sarah Treffin sparked a wild debate after she took to TikTok to tearfully claim she was yelled at for being asked what accommodations there were for people with time blindness during a phone interview to apply for a trade school. So she was trying to go, I'm assuming a trade school's like a TAFE here in Australia. Now, if you don't, they don't lock you out of classes, do they? There's a bit of give and take. I know when I went to uni, you'd occasionally not make it on time, or you'd be, having a breakfast, rushing to work. I'm quite spoilt now, to be honest. My days can start when I want them to start. I've got much more flexibility, but then again, they finish when they need to finish. So, I'm waiting on an email from a client to send me some stuff, so I've got time to kill. That's why I'm recording one in the morning. And you just have to learn time management skills. That's what this girl has to learn, I think. It's kind of embarrassing if your daughter asked that question. Oh boy. I just got yelled at for asking a very reasonable question. I'm applying to go somewhere and I just want to know, are there accommodations for people who struggle with time blindness and being on time? And then the person that I was with interrupted and acted like I was asking something else. And then when we were done, they actually started yelling at me and saying accommodation for time blindness doesn't exist. Imagine telling that to your child. And if you struggle being on time, you'll never be able to get a job, provided that you are trying your absolute best to be there. The US woman later revealed the person who yelled at her was her mum, who was sitting in on the phone call with her. Yeah, okay. Like I said, the mother. What would you say? Okay, there are a lot of parents who watch the channel. What would you say to your kids if they complained about time blindness? My father, who was previously married, he had another family, another son. I think he hired him to work on a project. He turned up 3 days late. When he turned up, the work was already done. She said her mum claimed that her stupid generation wanted to destroy the workplace. The young woman then claimed that any culture where workers are just cut off, where workers are just cut off people because they struggle being on time without looking at other solutions needs to be dismantled. Oh, see, this is the thing. The people who've never built anything want to dismantle the existing establishment. And this may just be for some stupid little, idiotic question about rocking up on time. But these are the same type of people that are calling for radical political interventions to bring down the institutions that sustain our modern life. These are the same people who believe the world is about to end because we're generating power using fossil fuels, and that we need to use more resources, making less efficient, renewable power generation that won't meet the baseload requirements. This is an argument of why the minimum voting age should be 31. The older I'm getting, the more I think we need to lift it up. We need to go back to like how the Roman Republic did it. 31 years old, voting age. What do you reckon? I asked that person, how can you feel good about yourself upholding this kind of system? And then to think I'm entitled. No, maybe she's a NEET. Well, she's not even a NEET. She's trying to get into in education or training. You know, not education, employed, or in training. You know, 4chan dweller. While time blindness is not diagnosed in itself, it is a symptom often associated with ADHD and can see people struggle with losing track of time or being unable to accurately gauge how much time has passed. Problems that can arise from this symptom include under or overestimating how much time a task will take, chronically missing deadlines or arriving late, and constantly losing track of time. Oh, that can always happen sometimes on projects. You start working at something and you get a mistake and a problem or something changes. I've inherited a rivet model from someone else and I'm looking at it now and the elevations are not running parallel to the walls. That they're at an angle, so everything's wrong. It's awesome sometimes, you just deal with these things. The video quickly went viral, gaining more than 4.2 million views in a matter of days. Thousands of people slammed her as absolutely ridiculous and idiotic. Yes. Many commenters claimed they also struggle with time management due to ADHD, but claimed it was not on an employer to accommodate these issues. I have ADHD, the accommodation are clocks and setting alarms and waking up earlier, one person wrote. As someone with the ADHD, I always look at how long it will take to get to a destination and multiple alarms. Sure, maybe time blindness is a thing, but it's easy to fix. You're just being lazy or victimizing yourself if you can't do these simple solutions I mentioned above. Other commenters asked how the TikToker would feel if the scenario was reversed. They were negatively impacted by people being late due to time blindness. So there we go, guys. I mean, oh boy, she just has to grow up. Let's have a chat about this one. As I said, this young lady just needs to grow up, and the mother was embarrassed for your child to ask such a stupid question, and then to go on TikTok. And I'm just seeing she's called Chaotic Philosopher, sure. To go on TikTok and bitch and moan about it. Oh boy, this is why you need to keep your kids off social media. Just ban it in your household till they're 21 or till they move out. So tempted. I mean, what do we have? We've got Steam accounts for them to reward them for their hard work. That's the closest we have. Anyway, you tell me, guys. How would you respond if this was your child and you were on an interview with them or on the phone call with them? How would you respond? Tell me in the comments. Would you be yelling at, like her mother did and saying that it's stupid and there's no accommodations for it? Or would you coddle the shit out of them and then wonder why everything's going to the hell in a handbasket? Anyway, guys, maybe my bias is coming through there. My bias is coming through in that question, just perhaps. As always, check out Heise a bit more Heise does if you want to see other content I create. I promise I will put up content there eventually. if you're a fan and want to support us, you can on YouTube or Patreon. Use our referral links, buy our pocket squares, or call me if you need an architect. Take care. Have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye for now. Let me know if you notice a difference in the camera positioning. I'm playing with a new camera mount. We'll see if it works. I think it is. I'm doing some more lighting.